as I would say a person as a problem solver, and for the process of what I'm doing here. So again, my topic is solving problems and overcoming difficulties, important for your mental state. And our life is better when we solve problems, overcome challenges. It is part of our purpose. So we start off with Daniel chapter 5, verse 12. And it says here, for as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpretation of dreams and showing hard sentences and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. So you know the story about the unwriting on the wall, and there's this unwriting on the wall that's happening, and they cannot figure out what's the unwriting, which is basically that there is trouble coming, so to speak. The kingdom is going to be taken from Belshazzar, the king. And so, as this trouble is coming, it is clear that there is something that's about to happen. So, this is what's happening. So, there's this unwritten on the wall. They call in Daniel, and Daniel is supposed to solve the riddle. So, Daniel is a person that's known to solve difficult problems and riddles. But if you know the story of Daniel, Daniel was in a situation at the start of the book of Daniel, Daniel chapter 1, a problem. And he says he's going to fast and he's going to maintain, you want to maintain a certain diet. And he decided to fast, he decided to go on a certain diet and lifestyle. And by doing that, he was able to solve a problem. And also, he's able to interpret dreams. And he's a statesman. And a statesman, oftentimes there's not only the general way to function, but always to figure out how to function better in life. And then there's also problems in a nation. And Daniel became that person in what we would call in modern day Iraq, what we call Babylon, because they were city states then. And then he's also that person that is in Iran, what we call Medes and the Persians. And he's there and he's known, later on he'll be in Iran, he's known as a person that dissolves. So I'm going to read it again. I'm going to tell you why this is important to me and it's important to you. So if my intention here this week is to tell you that whatever problems you're facing, that if you approach it with this mentality, that you can solve problems, right? That you can solve these problems, whatever these problems are, and you can be a problem solver. Then what will happen is that it will make you do better and feel better about life. Because I've realized over the years that there's this thing where a person will go through trouble, and when you start to really look at it, they have many troubles, and they're not solving any of them. It is just a mountain of troubles, and the troubles are piling up, and it makes them get depressed and makes them feel like life is not probably worth living and stuff like that. So the way to me to go through life is that we're problem solvers. As I say, our life is better when we solve problems and overcome challenges. And we do it step by step. And the better we get at it is the better our lives are and the better we feel about life. Because life is going to feel good anyhow. So here, I'm going to read it again and you see Daniel himself is a problem solver. Notice here, for as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding and interpretation of dreams and showing of hard sentence and dissolving doubts, right? Depends on the translation, you can get an idea here that the statement is used, depending on translation, that Daniel solved difficult problems, right? Daniel solves difficult problems. So the bigger the problem, you want to bring in, as I said, the big guns. And Daniel is that person. And to me, I've found that it is better in life when you go at life like this. You go at life understanding that there are going to be difficult problems that's going to come up, and because there's going to be difficult problems, the better you are at solving these difficult problems. As a matter of fact, most of the job things that we do for a living is actually solving problems. Even sometimes when a person invent and make stuff, new stuff, oftentimes what they're doing is solving a problem for old stuff. Like you have a product and it's 1.0, then it's 2.0, then it's 3.0, then it's 3.2, 3.5, and then probably 3.7 or whatever it is before they go to 4 because they're trying to solve some of the problems that comes up arise before they come up with the next number, right? Why? So as I say, even in situations where you're working, a lot of time a work process, I would say, is a process that came about over years, sometimes decades, sometimes centuries, of a process of how we do business to deal with certain problems. It's somebody has solved the problem and they say, well, that's the best case or that's the best practice. And then they apply the best practice continually because they find when they do it this way, it works properly and things work better. So in this life, this is what we are in general, whether or not you've accepted that you're a problem solver. And the more difficult the problems is the more value you bring to a job, to your personal life, and the more value you can get out of this life. Because again, when you approach anything in life, you can see that the more problems you can solve, the more skills you have to solve problems, the way your brain works to solve a problem, and the way you train yourself to solve a problem, is the more value you have and the more reward you get from this life. And this is what I've noticed over the years. So if you want to get good reward from this life, understand that every day you go to work, what you're primarily doing is you either have a process you're working that works a certain way and it works properly, but it's a process that was worked out because somebody had figured out that if you do it this way, you get good results. A lot of inventions are simply just solving problems. The invention came about because there was a problem. Somebody saw the problem and decided that this is how we're going to go at it. And they went at it that a certain way and it works. And so then from that point onward, everybody does it this way and it works fine. So whether it be, somebody was say farming and growing food, or somebody was the way they grow the food and all that is just basically methods of how to deal with the earth, how to deal with this. Is I just look at it as problem solvers. So I read it again. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding and interpretation of dreams and showing hard sentences and dissolving doubts. Now, one of the ways, as I say, to look at that is solving difficult problems. As I say, you read it in different things. So Daniel had this, he had knowledge, so it wasn't lack of knowledge. So it was a person that's well knowledgeable, you would say. And he could grasp, because in order for you to solve, you have to understand what you're solving, or how difficult the problem is, and how you have to approach it. I remember Daniel also was a statesman. So as I say, a statesman is a person that really is supposed to be a problem solver. There are problems in society, and it doesn't matter what the problem is in a society. Those who are in leadership are supposed to be focusing on how to fix the problem. So when we deal with it on an individual level, we take the knowledge, we take understanding, and problem solving is really wisdom, because wisdom is knowledge, understanding, and how you apply that. How do you take all the information in? Somebody say, hey, there's an enigma, there's a difficult problem here. And you say, okay, you don't try to solve it yet. You try to learn as much as you can. Then you try to understand what you're dealing with. And then you try to come up with a solution. Daniel's solutions work because remember, Daniel was the guy that they went to when they came to the Medes and the Persians and made him the second. Imagine, he's not a he's not a Iraqi, so to speak, in our modern talk. He's not a Babylonian. He's not a Medes and the Persians. He's not from Iran. He's a Jewish person, although his lineage would be from Iran and from that area anyhow. So they're amongst them people, so to speak. But he's taking over to the Iranians now. And next, sorry, because I'm taking the whole story in my head, but it's his whole story. So he's going to be in the Iranian, and they're going to make him powerful in that kingdom. Why? Because he solves problems. So it didn't matter where he was, if he was in Babylon or if it was amongst the Medes and the Persians, modern day Iran. He's a problem solver. Now that's important, and I find that fascinating because the next kingdom, as you know, is going to be the Iranian. And you know, even to this day, when you understand just even the basic philosophy or principles that caused me to be able to talk to you, most of them comes from Iran, right? Because when we talk about algebra, Pythagoras theorem, algorithm, almost all of those principles are coming from Iranian philosophers are problem solvers. So it's interesting. But so they themselves have contributed so much to what we use as theories for modern day science and modern day technology. And so Daniel is amongst them. So I would see Daniel be a person that they would want to have, right? Because he himself is this is what all this technology is just an enigma. It's an enigma, it's a puzzle, it's a problem that needs to be solved. And they're a great problem solver. And I'm always fascinated by how even under embargo, they on the heavy, the Iranians I'm talking on the heavy Western embargo, they're still able to be some of the probably the most prolific or what we call it inventive when it comes on to drone technology. So the drone technology for years I've been looking at what they produce when it comes on to drone, even under heavy sanctions, and they're probably one, two, or three when it comes on to drone advanced drone technology and other things that they do that you would not probably know if you don't follow international media. But it's not nothing is surprising when the Iranians do certain things because they're known for that. This is the base of most of our technology. And even when we talk about our legal system is Iranian, is actually not Western. It is taken from the Iranians. So their legal system is primarily what we build our Western legal system on. And then our technology is built on them. So the advanced thinking. So just think about it later on, not this text, but after this, Daniel finds himself with the Medes and the Persians, very scientific people and legal minded. And so we have this idea here that this is what makes our lives better. This is what makes our lives great. And so this is what I want to introduce you to you this week. That when we solve problems, so for me overall, like say if I run into an issue, my thing is I know either other people run into the issue, so I go and search. I know that other people have this problem, so I go and search. I know there's a technology built for it. And if not, then I just normally say, well, we wait, we see. Somebody will come up with a solution, or I need to come up with a solution. Because there's problems, and the problems need to be solved. And if you're having a problem, the whole world is not having a problem, but a big percentage of the world is having that problem. Whatever problem you're going through, just think about that. These are issues that are common to humanity. As the Bible said, they're sins that are common. So whether we having a physical problem, or whether we have a health problem, a financial problem, whether we having some process we're doing at work, trust me, there's other people trying to work the same process and having the same problem, or they had it and they solve it. And when you solve problems, it take a burden off you because it's just a problem. Yesterday it snowed, and I was using the snow blower, and I was, sometimes it was stuck, and I can't remember what it is, but there's a way the 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 wheels turn, because the wheels powered, right? So the wheels turn a certain way, but it's built for snow. So there, I can't remember. Someone have to go remember Monday, but it is the way the wheels turn. I say if one wheel starts slipping, the other wheel, I think it's called a slip differential, and the wheels will slip. But normally, I think they have them in cars, but they even have it in that small machine, right? Because obviously the wheels can't just keep turning, else you just sink in the mud. So one wheel will stop, and then the wheel will like jitter and stuff like that. But just imagine how they've put that technology in it's a smaller engine item, But it's a problem, right? And it just keep helping you out of the problem. So here's this thing, we're going to make it do this. And then normally, when you put the machine in reverse, say for instance, on certain machines, it won't keep spinning the auger that, chew up the snow and then spit it out. You would have to stop it. But somehow, whether the machine is going, the wheels are going forward or backward, the engine, I guess somehow I'm figuring they probably, I never looked into this, but they probably independently separate the moving of the wheels from the moving of the auger that spins the drive, the thing to spin and chew the snow up, I guess, and spit it out. So I was thinking about all of this because I have nothing else to do than to watch the machine does its thing. And so, what else can I do? I'm trying to figure out stuff. But I'm just thinking about this kind of concept here that whatever problem it is, somebody just sit and say, okay, can we do it this way, do it that way? And when they do it, you feel, because what it is that there's things in life that will frustrate you, both physical, as I say, spiritual or moral, mental, in this life. But if you go to life and you just say, I'm going to solve this problem, then you have less frustration in your life. You have less headache in your life and you do life better. So whatever the problem is, you're just like, okay, I have this problem, I'm going to solve it. So here it says Daniel solved difficult problems. Now, obviously, there's probably smaller problems that he wouldn't bother himself with. But he himself is a person that solves difficult problems. And I want to think about your life, my life like that. That if we can solve difficult problems, our lives will be so much better, right? Because what will happen is that we solve these difficult problems and the problems go away. And as the problem goes away, we have a better experience because we're solving difficult problems. And and so they found Daniel and they called him and they brought him. And so, hopefully, in your life, in my life, whatever problem you're going through today, whatever thing, I tend to not get as probably discouraged and as defeated and whatever it is you feel, emotions you feel when you have a problem. Because I just realize in life what I should do is try to solve it. And the more problem I solve, the more things I can arrange, put in a certain order, get rid of certain things, you know, and tomorrow we'll deal with finance, pay off certain things, then it's the better it is for your life. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 34, Matthew 6, verse 34, notice it says here, take therefore no thought for tomorrow or for the morrow. For the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. So sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. So he says, listen, don't take no thought for the morrow. Because whatever evil, because oftentimes something could be a problem, could be an evil, could be something that needs to be solved, could be a sin to be overcome. And although we have to be a future in our view, today's problem solves a problem for tomorrow. That means whatever you're dealing with, when you have a problem that's there, especially the problem is being there for a while. And I've seen some problems in my life that I need to deal with. It could be something that needs to be straightened up, something that need to be like a bill need to be paid off. Whatever that problem is, it is there and it's going to be there until you take care of it. And the moment you take care of it, it like leaves all this nagging thing from your head, all this kind of background thought and background noise when everything is still and silent. And if you ever finish your day, and as you finish your day, you start thinking, did I take care of this? Did I take care of that? And it's always the worst thing that if you finish your day and you wake up in the morning, you're thinking, oh man, I didn't take care of something yesterday. And that thing is going to be a problem today. It's going to be a problem tomorrow. I'm sorry, for tomorrow. Or that day when you wake up because what happened, you didn't fix the problem or take care of it yesterday. And it's now pile on because now you have another thing that is there. And I've noticed over the years that I could be dealing with a person and I start to realize that they start to say, I have this problem, that problem, that problem, that problem. But they're not telling me which one was solved or if any was solved or what was solved the day before. And the problems are piling up. And as the problems pile up, what end up happening is start to get them down because they have a mountain of problems that they seem like they can't overcome. So what you want to do is that you want to be able to deal with it one problem at a time. You want to deal with life one problem at a time. And as you deal with life one problem at a time, then what it does, it helps you that you can clear your desk, so to speak. You clear your house, you clear your yard, you clear your issues. And when you do this, it end up causing you that you don't end up with just a mountain of problems. And this is basically what you want to do. You don't want to have a mountain of problems. So again, I read the text. Take therefore no thought for tomorrow or tomorrow. All right. for tomorrow will take thought for the things of itself. In other words, you're not there, you're not present tomorrow. What you are, you're present today. So in today, whatever problems you're facing, try to solve them today. Solve your most pressing issues today. And what they will lighten tomorrow's burden. And it make that you don't really have to think about tomorrow because you know tomorrow take care of itself. Because you know tomorrow is coming. And when we say tomorrow, I really believe we literally mean tomorrow. But also what can be applied here is that next month, next year, the future. There's things that you know you'll have to deal with today because they have implication for tomorrow. You can't really so much worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be worried about if you don't take care of them today. And it can be in all aspects of life. And so you solve today's problems because today is when you face the problem, you know the problem is here today. So just face it and you'll find that your life is better. It'll lift your burden and it make you go through life just simply better. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16 says, "For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked fall into mischief." And what happened to the wicked? It doesn't say, right? So a just man falleth 7 times. So to me, the idea of falling is something that we have to deal with as human beings. All right? This is this life. You know, you get into trouble, you get into problems, you know, you have a situation that you're trying to work out. But the principle here that I take in my personal life is this principle that as long as I'm trying to solve the problem, I don't worry about, as they say, falling, right? I'm in process. So in a process of life, you don't get frustrated when you mess up or when things don't go right. I'm more get frustrated if things go bad and I knew it was something I need to deal with and I never dealt with. Or there's something I need to add to my process and I didn't add it. And when you understand this, it makes life just better and it makes life lift your burdens. Because what is it here? A just man will fall 7 times, right? And rise it up again. So you're in process. And if you've ever worked in a project, you could end up having to do it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I'm not going to go 8 or 9. And till you get it right, you keep going at it. Because you know you're on the right path, but you know it's probably going to take multiple tries. And so you don't get too downbeat and get too, disturbed when you're doing life and life doesn't go perfect because you're trying to figure it out. Right? That is how to me you approach life. So you're doing life, you say you're trying to get something done and you're trying. And you try one time and it don't work. Try a second time, you fail, you don't work. Listen, there's things right now in my personal life, and I'm sure you can testify to this, that was very difficult. Could be a sin, it could be something, the way you do a process, the way you understand things. And man, 10 years ago, that would be so difficult. Or if this happened to me 10 years ago, I would feel so depressed about it. But as you get older, you're supposed to be getting more knowledge, more understanding, or the ability to understand and grasp things more, and more skills. And the more skills, the more tactics, the more way you approach life is what problems don't become so destructive. It's when you're not gaining that knowledge, that understanding, or way to grasp information and, chew it up and digest it and then come up with a solution is when life becomes frustrating. But if you're always at it where you intend to do the right thing, you intend to fix problem, then you understand that things don't come about. As I say, there's machines that we use right now that is 100 years in development. That's just a fact. There's these machines that we use right now that has been 100 years in development. So if you're doing something and you're having a hard time with it today, well, have a hard time with it tomorrow and just keep going until you fulfill this text. You have a hard time today, then have a hard time tomorrow again. And I guarantee you, as you keep going at it, and you keep solving a problem, then what will happen is that the problem start to become easier and you start to see a way out. And as you see a way out, then it problem is going to get less frustrating. Things are not going to be as difficult as you think. as you were looking at, right? So this is how you approach life. And as you approach life like this, then you'll find that the problems will not be as difficult as you normally would think. And the problems, you'll be able to deal with your problems. So I read it again. A just man falleth 7 times and rise up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. So you're not falling because you're trying to do wrong. You're not falling because whatever, you're on the ball. You're trying to pay attention. You're trying to take care of problems. And as you're trying to take care of problems, what you find is that each problem you try to take care of, you'll be able to see your way to see, oh, I see this problem arise. Let's solve this problem. And as you solve this problem, you'll be like, okay, I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. And as you get closer, then you'll be able to solve the problem. As I say, most products you use, as I say in this life, are probably easily 100 years in development. Most products. I remember when I was younger, they were talk about like these smart watches that you could talk to. You know, they smart watches that could do, you know, you could have communication. It'd be like a radio. And now we have watches that you literally can take text and make a call from the watch and talk. You can talk on your watch, right? But that's probably something, a technology that they saw literally 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. But now the technology is in existence. So whatever problem you have in your life, if you approach it that you're not probably going to solve it today, but you're going to go at it today, you'll be in good situations because you realize, wait a minute, there's things that somebody solved and it took them 50 years, and you're here and you're like, oh man, I'm having a hard time. I'm not saying you need to have 50 years to solve certain problems, but you should just simply understand that, you know, problems take a while to solve. And you might be at it and getting discouraged, and you start looking at certain inventions. As I say, I remember a few years ago, they used to have CD players. So they went from tapes and cassettes, so something with a magnetic strip. Then they started to do a floppy disk, and then they went from floppy disk to what you call a hard drive. And then now you have the drives are becoming, they can get more information and more zeros and ones on a little small little area. And now certain computers are not even shipped with a CD anymore. So I don't even know, did they get rid of CDs? And so almost all my CDs, I was in the attic last week sometime, and I was looking. I need to find something. I was looking through a box of CDs because when I do the radio, I have to take all the CDs and convert them to MP3 and so forth. So so you do all of that, and then you'll be like, oh wow, it's CDs 128 bits per second, and so forth. But I have to convert them, so I have to go through all the process of converting all these CDs, and then I store away the CDs because I have them in MP3, and then some computers nowadays don't even ship with a disc. I think, right, but then they keep moving on to new and new stuff. So you deal with your problems. Just approach it that says, listen, difficult problems are difficult to solve. So you have to approach life like, listen, a righteous man falls 7 times and rise it again. Just you fail. Don't be beat down on yourself. Remember, you're trying. As long as you're trying, don't feel so bad. Don't get so disturbed because, oh man, I fail or I messed up. I mean, the best messed up until they get it right, but they keep trying. So you just keep trying. Proverbs 18 verse 15. Proverbs 18 verse 15 says, "The heart of the prudent getteth knowledge, and the hair of the wise seeketh knowledge." So the heart of the prudent. So it is almost emotional and intellectual process, right? Get it knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge. Now, this word prudent, right? Interesting enough, we'll come to it again, but I want to tell you the meaning of it. So I'm going to read you 3 different definition for the word prudent, because it says the person is prudent, and you want to be prudent because prudent, now the word marked by wisdom or judiciousness. So a person who's prudent is a person who's wise. So what I'm really encouraging you this week, is to be prudent. Tomorrow, as I say, because I'm switching up my format here, tomorrow I'll be dealing with finance. Normally I deal with church-related matters. And so prudence normally would say that a person who's prudent is a person that's wise, judicious. So this now deals with even finances. So normally they have a company called Prudential, right? Because they're saying that the person is prudent. And, it's come to us because we're prudent. I don't know if that company is prudent, but well-known company because the word is important. So a prudent person, because this is what we want to be, and it's what I'm encouraging you to be this week, is a person that is wise and is a person that is judicious. A prudent person also is a person that's shrewd, right? In management. So we could say Daniel is shrewd in management. And we want to be shrewd in our management, especially of our personal finance and our personal fear of health, our surroundings. So a person is shrewd in management of practical affairs. So a person is prudent in management of practical affairs. So the Bible is saying that a prudent person gets knowledge because in order for you to be prudent in practical affairs, then one would say that one has to be able to handle their business well, right? Practical affairs. That means the way you take care of your job, the way you take care of your home life, your financial life. These things are practical, just everyday things. So if you serve the Lord, you're supposed to be prudential, prudent. So notice here, cautious. So a prudent person is cautious. A person that's simple and don't, because in order for you to move cautiously, one have to take knowledge in. You have to understand that knowledge. So those two actions before you become wise or prudent, it slows you down. Because when you're prudent, you kind of like making note. Oh, I noticed this here. You're taking it in before you make another move. So a prudent person is cautious. You have to be cautious with what you put in your mouth. You have to be cautious with all these things. So we'll deal with that. And it's a person who's prudent is also discreet. Discretion is normally a positive thing, right? So the person is very discreet. They don't put their business out there, as I would say. They kind of gingerly go along in life. A prudent person is also thrifty. So this we'll deal with tomorrow, right? Because if you're prudent, you're thrifty. So there's problems to solve in this life, and you can't solve them unless you're prudent. This is a fact. Because you're not quick to spend your money. You're not quick to, put your money out there. You're not quick to lose your money like that. It's going to be paying you. A prudent person is a person that's also, you would say, is frugal, right? Right? Is you're not a waster. Another example of the word prudent to give us a very three definition understand of it is showing good judgment in avoiding risk and uncertainty. So a prudent person is a person you say show good judgment in avoiding risk. So a gambler would not be a prudent person. That's obvious, right? You would not say a gambler is a great problem solver because what happened, you're trying to solve a problem. And you're trying to overcome difficulties. You can't overcome difficulties quick, emotionally, at the spur of the moment, at a whim. That's somebody that's more a gambler. So a prudent person show good judgment in avoiding risk and uncertainty. So when you're doing something, you want to sure, is this solid ground or am I building on quicksand or sinking sand? A prudent person is good and careful judgment when handling practical matters. So a person who is prudent is good when handling practical matters. So this is practicality. So when we talk about problem solving, we're talking about solving problems that are practical. And practical problems could be health, morals, financial. Any problem, it's just a problem. Because it has to do with your life. They affect your life. So when the Bible says, again, I read it, the heart of the prudent get it knowledge. Because in order for you to understand, you must grasp, you must have some information. You must do your due diligence. You must take in data, facts, figures. And then now you say, okay, what is all of this? After you made your assessment, you say, what does all of this mean? And then now after that, then the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge, because you have to have the information. The information is important. And when you make a decision and you don't know all the information or the knowledge or the wisdom, the facts or the data, you make bad choices. And I've done that many a time. I just didn't know. And so the choice I made just made big mistakes. And then when I learn certain things and I seek out certain things and I learn it and I make another choice at another attempt at it, I do much better. Because what happened, I'm doing now with more facts. I'm doing more with now more information. I have more to go on. And I say, oh, I see what's going on there. I see why I messed up. Many things I've looked back in life. And it wasn't a lack of effort. It was just a lack of, I just didn't know. And when I know now I have more information to go on in order to put all the facts together, as they say, and come to a conclusion and then come to a decision and say, okay, this is my decision. And then now when it works out, I say, okay, I got it. I didn't add some missing information. So that's why even when I do these talk programs, like I always say some information I'm learning, I'm understanding, and as I understand it, I'll share. But sometimes I share, I'll even say here that this is what I know. Because if other information come forward, I'll change my mind. Because I could see gaps or holes, and I say, oh, okay, I could see if this information comes out forward, then I could see how it would not, I would never come to that conclusion. And looking back, I've seen decisions I made, and I'm like, if I'd known what I know now, I wouldn't do it, which is obvious. So that's why you seek the information so that you can make an informed decision, right? In James chapter 1, verse 5, in James chapter 5, 1, verse 5, it says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally and upbraid it not, and it shall be given him. Let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea driven with the wind and tossed. So when you don't have wisdom, you don't have a way to make wise decision. You're unstable. Instability is simply lack of information. Instability is simply lack of grasping information. Instability is just making terrible choices. And the choices that the person make are foolish choices, or choices that are ignorant choices. And the end result is a lot of death and destruction, a lot of failure. And it's hard for the person to come up. But when you take in information, and it's how I look at it, if I grasp all the information I can about a subject and I make a choice, and the choice fail, what I've learned to do is just go back again and see, okay, there must be a reason why. Because I believe life is scientific and I believe it's principle based. And so when something goes wrong, I say, okay, something is wrong. There must be some information I'm lacking. That's just how I look at it. And then I go ahead and I go find it. When I find it, oh, and then I add that, make a choice again. And that's how I do it. It's like a ladder. And I approach this life just about like that. Because I believe that's the Lord liberal. The Lord wants us to get, Lord wants us to bless, but the Lord don't bless us in laziness. This text next proves this point, and I'll deal with this text and another text, and then we close. So notice here in Matthew chapter 7, verse 6 through 8, it says, give not that which is holy unto dogs, neither cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. So to me, as I've said before in the past, that when I read this principle, I'm reading God's method of dealing with us and who he is. He's telling us, because Jesus is talking. And when he's talking here, he's speaking and telling you his principles. So I just approach it as that's all God does. He will give to you, but you can't be a pig or you can't be a swine. You have to be that person that says, I appreciate information, I appreciate understanding, I appreciate knowledge. God bless me with wisdom. Wisdom is basically how to make decisions, and good decisions that don't burn us, right? So notice it says, ask and it shall be given you, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be open unto you. So notice the prudent man seeketh knowledge. That's what it says there, right? The prudent man wants knowledge. Wise person wants this. So he's saying, ask. So I search, I look, I read a book, I read a Bible, I pray. Lord, give it to me. And I believe that these things happen to me, and it will happen to you. And I don't know it happened to you. I'm sure you've been there where you're trying to find information about something, and all of a sudden information appears because you're either searching for it or it just pops in your mind, or these things happen, and it's amazing. Or something you knew and your brain was nagging you like, hey, this thing exists, And all of a sudden it pops in your brain. You'll be like, oh, it does exist. It was there. And my brain was like telling me nothing. Or the Lord made configure it in my brain. I don't know how. But ask and it shall be given unto you. So just pray. Or ask somebody. Ask your neighbor, ask a friend. Ask. Seek and you shall find. Just seek it. It's there. And if it's not there, you seek it, you can't find it. Then you probably found an invention, right? Probably is that something you need to do. How many people they were trying to fix a problem and they couldn't find a solution and they fix it themselves and then somebody say, hey man, you have a good thing there. And then next you know it's a product that you buy, but somebody fixed the problem. And it shall be open, and knock and it shall be open unto you. For everyone that asks it, receive it, and to everyone that seek it shall find. And so we want to approach life like this. This is basically my process here. So solving problems and overcoming difficulties will improve our mental state because each time we overcome it, we get that reward. Remember, a lot of our good feeling comes from rewards. When we get a reward for something we do, it lights up our brain. And so you have a problem, you solve the problem, it lights up your brain, it makes you just feel better about life. I close on Philippians chapter 4, Philippians 4, what is that? Verse 11. It says, not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therefore to be content. So notice here, Paul is in such a mindset, right? What's his mindset? Paul says, listen, I don't care what state I am in. I know I'm going to be content in one state. See, that mindset to me is the kind of mindset that you want to be. You want to have this mindset because if you can solve problems, I don't care where you're at, how you're doing health-wise, financial. You're just thinking, I'm gonna solve this, and you're going to just keep trying and trying and trying, and you're trying. Even if you die trying, you're just trying. So notice here, I know both how to be abased and I know how to be abound. So, but to me, it's good when you live life where you know how to, scrape by, and you know when money is running. It's good to be able to be in all those type of situation. You can put some scratch together and get some food to eat and do what you have to do to live. You can live broke, and you can live where there's some money. It's good to be able to know how to be in any situation because all you're doing is solving problems. So you have a lot of money, it's just more money, more problems, right? You have less money, you still have problems. You just have to go figure out how to solve the problems, right? More money, more option. Less money, less option. But what happens? You take the options you have and you try to make the best of them. And that to me just it's all rewarding because it's just life is like a game. You just play the game. So Paul is in the game. So notice he says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. So he said, I can do all things, no matter where I'm at. There's times when Paul is surviving of tithe and offering. There's time when Paul have to survive off, making tents, literally, and taking that money, supporting himself, supporting other people, preaching the gospel. He has some skill. So he knows how to, whatever his situation is. I'm in a foreign country, I'm in prison, I'm being chased out of town, whatever. He's just, whatever it is, you solve a problem. You keep going until you die. And that's life to me. So to me, the righteous man, the just man drop seven, fall 7 times. Paul fall more than 7 times. And if he can keep going, you can keep going. Paul, he says, I know to abase, I know to abound. I know when money's flowing and when the money's not flowing. When my health is going good, my health is not going good. He's been through all the situation. He's a persecutor. Next thing you know, he's being persecuted. He's all over the place. But he survived. If he can survive, you can survive. If Daniel can survive 3 kingdoms, you can survive. It doesn't matter where you are at, no matter how situation you're in, no matter how we're in. What we do, we just learn to survive. I would just learn to take whatever we have and just make the best of it. And you do that, and I do that. Man, God bless you, and you'll do well for yourself. So let us pray. Our Father who art in heaven, I thank you again for the blessings of this day and your word. And I pray that you may bless those that are here and those that will listen even later. And may you grant them, dear Lord, your richest blessing, and truly that they may be overcome and I may be overcomer in all things for Christ's sake. Amen. Well, thanks for being me here on Revive Reform Radio. Looking forward to talking to you again live as we start out this new year together. Until then, I pray that you may continue to walk with the King.